Welcome to the first video in the Guitar Tips for Beginners series. In this video we're going to be covering three major chords. So I'm going to be teaching you to play the G major chord, C major chord and the D major chord. And once we've practiced those three shapes, we're going to do a little basic strumming pattern and chord exercise just to get your fingers used to changing to the different shapes. So if you don't know who I am, my name's Andrew. I've been playing guitar for 25 years almost. It's quite a long time, and I had a few friends and family approach me wanting to learn to play the guitar, so I thought, well, why don't I put it on the internet and I can help more people. So that's why I'm here. So let's get to the first lesson. Just to let you know as well, if this lesson is too basic for you, if you've played guitar before, then it's going to be like pulling teeth. But if you're coming back to the guitar and you didn't really have much practice, or you've just literally picked up a guitar and you don't know where to begin, then this video will be great for you to get started. So here we go with the first chord. The first chord I'm going to teach you is G major. And it looks like and sounds like this. So that's the first shape we're going to learn. Now, a major chord, if you don't know anything about theory or scales at the moment, don't worry about it. We'll go over those in future lessons. But just quickly, how you make a major chord is the major chord is made up of the root, the third, and the fifth. So if you were to play the G major scale, which would be this, so that's G. The root note is obviously G, so that's the chord we're making, so the root note is G. Then the third note, you just literally count up 3 notes in the scale. So from G, we've got G, A, B, that's our third note. So that's our third in the chord. And then we want to find the fifth, which is obviously 2 notes up from the third, or 5 notes up from the G. So if we go from the G, go G, A, B, which is our third, C, D, which is the fifth. So we have G, B, D. That makes up our G major chord. This is how we play the G major chord. So before we get into that actually, let me just run through what notes are on each open string, just in case you don't know. So we got the very thick string, thickest, that's an E. The next string down, that's our A string. The next string down again is the D string. Next string down is the G. Next string down is the B string. And the next final string is the high string, which is high E. So the first string, this is the first string, and the sixth string, the lowest string, are both the same note, they're both E. So that out of the way, let's get to learning this G major chord. Okay, so you want your first finger to be, you want to place that on the 2nd fret of the 5th string of the A string, 2nd fret. And when you're fretting these notes, try to keep your fingers on the tips and try to keep them as close to the fret bar as you can. Not on the fret bar because it will sound dead, not too far back so you'll get that horrible buzzy noise. So you want them as close to the fret that you're playing on, the fret bar as you can, on the tips of the finger. So your first finger is on the 2nd fret of the 5th string, which is the A string, 2nd fret. Second finger, you want to take your 2nd finger and you want to place this. Now this might be a bit of a stretch for you if you've never done this before, but practice, take your time with it. And your 2nd finger, 3rd fret of the E string, so that's there, and place your tip on that string and push down. There we go. So now we have the first 2 notes of our chord. The D, G and B strings are all open, so we don't have to fret them. first two notes that I've actually pressed down on the strings at the moment. Then we want to take our third finger. Now again, this might be a little awkward if you're new to this. You want your third finger on the third fret of the high E string. So now we have the G note, that's our root note. That's on the third fret of the sixth string. We have our third in the chord, which is the B. So our first finger on the second fret, fifth string. The D, G and B strings are open, and the third finger is on the third fret of the high E string. Now you might have to play around and move your fingers around a little bit to try and get those notes sounding nice and clean and ringing out. Just take your time with them. If you have to, pause the video and just practice that for a few minutes, trying to get your fingers in the right place where it's comfortable and all the notes are ringing out cleanly. So that's the G major chord. So go away and practice that for a few minutes, and when you're ready, come back and we'll go over the C major chord. Okay, so if you've practiced the G and you're feeling a little bit more confident with it, let's move on to C major. And this is made up the same way as the G major chord, with the root, the third and the fifth. So this is how we're going to finger that chord. We're going to use our third finger on the third fret of the fifth string, second finger on the second fret of the fourth string. The G string is going to be open, so you're not going to fret any notes there. And then, well, just to let you know, that those three notes there, that's C major. So we could just play them. But then we've got these other two notes that are just these other two strings, nothing going on. So what we're going to do is use our first finger, and we're going to put that on the first fret of the second string. And that's another C note. And then the high E string is ringing out. So that's our third again. So we've got our root note, got our third, fifth, we got our first root note again, and the third, C major. And again, practice that chord until you feel like you're getting a little bit more comfortable with it. And then come back and we'll learn the next shape, which will be the D major chord. Okay, so if you're comfortable with those two shapes, let's go on to the D major chord, and that looks like this. And we play that from the D string, the fourth string. And that's made up, again, the same way as the G major and the C major, with the root, the third and the fifth. So we've got an open D string, which is the fourth string. You want to place your first finger on the second fret of the third string. Then you skip a string, and with your second finger place that on the second fret of the high E string, and your third finger on the third fret of the B string. And that's the D major chord. So once again, practice that. Once you're comfortable with that, we're going to try and do a little exercise to help you get used to changing to the different shapes. So first thing I would recommend you do is just don't play anything on the strings, just practice getting your hands, your fingers in the shapes that you are trying to learn, and just bounce up and down, trying to keep the shape with your fingers. Just do that. It's all to do with muscle memory. So your brain will realise or recognise that shape the more that you do it. And then move on to the next shape. Just bouncing up and down. Just trying to keep that shape. And trying to hit the strings as well, the right frets, the right strings. Do it as slowly as you need. Even don't have to take your fingers off the strings actually. Just bounce them up and down if you feel like, just to try and keep your fingers in the right position. And then obviously try it with the next shape of the D shape. Just keep those strings quiet, just keep in that shape. And when you've done that a few times, try changing between the shapes once you're a bit more comfortable. So you've got your G shape, then try and change to the C shape, maybe back to the G shape, and to the C shape, and then to the D shape, back to the C shape, back to the D shape, and then the G shape, and then to the D shape, C shape, D shape, and the G shape. Just practice. Okay, so if you want to pause the video and go and practice that for a little bit, by all means carry on and do that. But if you're ready and you want to plow on through, then we're going to do a basic strumming pattern in 4/4 time, and we're just going to practice slowly with a metronome, playing those chords, trying to get them to sound nice and clean, and changing the shapes. It might not be any kind of pattern towards this chord changing, so I'm just making this up on the spot, just to help get you comfortable changing shapes. The strumming pattern that we're going to be using is just a very simple downstroke strumming pattern, and I'm using a plectrum. So if you're using a plectrum, then try to hold it correctly. Don't hold it like this. Don't hold it like that. Don't hold it like that. Just a nice comfortable, should lie on your finger, nice comfortable grip. Not too hard, not too soft. Don't really tense up, but don't hold it so loose that you're going to drop it all the time. If you're using your thumb, then that's fine. You can just use your thumb like this. That's not a problem at all. So I'm just going to play a few bars of this strumming pattern. I'll just show you how it's going to work. We're going to when we're strumming, we want nice even downstrokes. So just like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that would have been 2 bars. And then when we change though to the C chord, we want to try and mute that E. I mean, it doesn't matter that much, but that would be the third. If you were to play that, that would just be C over E. So we just want to play the C from the 5th string, which is the C, which is the root note. So you can mute, bring your thumb over just a little bit and just touch that E string and it will mute it. And now you can just play the chord nice and easy. Okay? And then with the D chord, though, we want to try and just play from the D note, from the D string. Try not to play the A or the E. Okay, so let's get a metronome. If you haven't got a metronome, invest in one. These will really help to keep your timing nice and steady. So nice and slow, that's at 72 beats per minute. We just want to play through those chords. So let's do, I don't know, we'll just see where it takes us. I haven't, this is all off the cuff, so here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Change to C. Back to G. To D. To C. Back to D. And G. And that's it. Just practice that. and you don't worry about which chords you go into. You just want to practice changing from each shape. So you know, just change from G to C, then to C to D, back to G, and then this time round go from G to D, D to C, and then to G. And just any combination that you like, literally just to get your fingers used to changing shapes. There we go, have fun with that. Just practice changing chord shapes and do it as slowly as you need. And remember just to try not to strum, just changing chords just like that. You can do that while you're watching TV. It takes no time at all. Just do it as slowly as you need, concentrating on getting those shapes down. So brilliant, that's the end of this first video. If you enjoyed it, please be sure to give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and be sure to hit the notification bell so that you don't miss any future uploads from me. So that was brilliant. Thank you very much for watching this video, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Have a good day and get practicing.